What ended up happening was we started to ask the right questions, but we couldn't go anywhere because we were stuck. You basically had to give up on your analysis because you just didn't have the right tools. If I had this tool back then, I think a lot of things would be different.
Hello and welcome to the SOMO Cowork Member Spotlight. Today I'm joined by Tree Solimani. He's the CEO and founder of an AI analytics platform called Triangle AI. And so, Tree, thank you so much for being here today. I would love to start with just a small joy and something that's bringing you happiness or grounding at this time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Well, easy one, we're in December, so it's a holiday season, lots of joy going around. So great to be with family and friends. In terms of being grounded, just every day going through life and experiencing new things, learning new things, just keeps me grounded. It's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a great season to just relax, enjoy the holiday season. So
Absolutely.
Thank you. And can you give us a quick introduction into what is Triangle AI and how you started this?
Yeah, so Triangle AI is really about giving you deeper insights into your own business, your own data. So there's been a lot of gaps in how we actually communicate with our data, what we understand about it. The costs keep going up, the friction keeps going up. And, I was an analyst for over 10 years, working for banks, credit companies, and ultimately worked at a technology company in construction. And no matter how much more data we collected or how much more data we tried to analyze, the problems were always there. We either had really old tools, we kept adding more people and trying to figure out new ways, but it's just so much friction there. With the new developments in AI, I really saw that now we have an opportunity to give everyone more access to their own data. For me, AI is really about enablement and giving us full access. So we have a lot more capabilities to actually analyze our data, get deep insights, and understand what our customers need, what are the problems that are there, and help us really solve them a lot quicker. So Triangle AI is really just removing all that gap and friction and helping you just chat with your data.
And what types of professionals do you envision really taking off with this software?
Yeah, finance industry right off the bat started to use this. They love this because, again, there's a lot of complexities that we can't really maneuver around there. And there's tons of data, so we just need to get really clear insights. Also, we have a really clear way of showing people the results of the data analysis. So in finance, it becomes really important to show your findings. So financial planners, wealth managers really love this because they can just show their clients all the findings right off the bat. And then other industries, anyone who's using data analytics teams and data analysts, they just save a lot of time using this. You don't need to code for hours. You don't need to, experiment for hours to get a result. Now you can just ask your questions and get your insights. So it helps you just be more creative, which I always loved. When I started the company, I really wanted to go with this mission, which is bet on people, not the technology. So it's really just built around people being able to ask their questions and get the results that they expect.
I like that. Bet on people.
Yeah.
What would you say in your previous roles that you had before access to all this AI, how would this have changed your life to have all of this?
It would have been so game changing. So for the 10 years that I was an analyst, most of my time was spent in Excel, like everyone else, right? We're just using Excel left and right. But as I joined these larger companies, the data's started to get a lot larger. What ended up happening was we started to ask the right questions, but we couldn't go anywhere because we were stuck. You basically had to give up on your analysis because you just didn't have the right tools. Later on, when I became a data scientist, I really became a super user of data. I was able to analyze and I was able to look into all of these different questions. But the time to answer was pretty long. Like it would take us still 2 weeks to really dig into this data. If I had this tool back then, I think a lot of things would be different. I remember specifically being in one of the strategy meetings with vice presidents of the company, trying to kind of pick which direction the company should go in for a specific promotion. And ultimately they decided, let's go with this promotion. I think this will bring in a lot of customers and it will make a lot of people happy. And we said, well, what is that based on? And it was just a gut decision. And I said, well, do we have any data to analyze? And they said, that would be impossible to analyze. Now with tools like this, I mean, this is the only tool that can do this, but now with a tool like this, you really can analyze structured and unstructured data. So, I mean, everything would have been so different if we had this. Yeah.
Wow. And going deeper into your process of developing, that's a huge thing to take on, to develop an entire platform and software and system. And I've heard that you are a one-man show. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But, so, I'd love to hear more just about your process of developing all of this from the ground up and how you stay motivated doing everything yourself and wearing all the hats, and maybe any advice for anyone else who might be kind of in that phase of wearing all the hats themselves.
Yeah, so there's a lot in this. So when I became a data scientist, I really just volunteered to do that. So I was actually doing 2 roles at the same time for the company. I was not getting paid for the second role, but I just love to learn. I'm an endless learner. I learned code by just watching way too many YouTube videos. So for me, it was an easy transition to go into the founder mode with a single hat because I always just like to challenge myself and learn. But the other aspect of it is I never chose to really be a leader. When I was at my last role doing data science, I ended up leading a team and building the AI hub for what essentially became the AI hub for all of finance. I just wanted to know exactly what every single person was going through. So I wanted to learn what the data analysts were doing, what the data scientists were doing, what front-end engineers were doing. Because for me, it's important to know what they have to go through for me to be able to even lead them. So I carry that forward with me today. And as a solo founder, yes, you wear a lot of different hats. You have to do marketing, product, everything. It helps me get closer to customers and really try to understand them from every aspect. But the key is just being extremely focused. Again, the focus for me was always empower people. It's not just about the technology, bet on people and empower people first. So extremely focused. And what keeps me motivated is knowing that this product will inevitably help people just get a lot deeper insights into their products and make better decisions. Decisions that they'll be proud of basically implementing into their products and drive a lot of value for their customers too. Yeah.
And what are some ways that you stay focused? Like how do you stay focused?
Being consistent. So one of the things I really aimed at this year was just be consistent. So focus and consistency kind of align a lot. Mm-hmm. You have to pick kind of the direction that you want to take the company in. That means if you see something online, you don't just grab onto the latest trend. You don't follow maybe vanity metrics or things like that. You're really following, again, you have to be so customer focused and so focused on the product and the long-term vision, right? There was a lot of decisions over the last 4 years I could have made in terms of revenue that could have come in, millions of dollars, chose not to go that path. Lots of investors in top venture capital firms choosing a direction, chose not to go that way. Why? Because long-term, the goal is pretty clear of what we want to deliver. And as long as we can stay on track to hit those metrics, those long-term goals, which are very much product and customer centric, then it becomes a little bit easier to focus. Because you always ask, right? It's at the end of the day, if I make this decision, will it diverge us from that path that we want to take? If the answer is yes, then we need to kind of steer back and go back to where we need to go.
Okay, yeah, no, I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in trends and, different ideas of maybe others' opinions or what to do. So I kind of have two parts to my next question. First is, how do you come up with a long-term goal and get really clear on that, especially when there's so much unknown and AI is constantly changing and developing? To my understanding, it feels like it keeps growing and new possibilities are opening up. So how do you determine that long-term goal? And also, I'd love to hear more, just what is the long-term goal and vision for AI analytics and Triangle AI?
Yeah, those are great questions. Yes, AI is developing at a rapid pace, which has been really important to be focused. So it's looking at your market, right? Seeing what people are building, like what companies are building right now. What are they aiming to do, and trying to understand where they're going to be going maybe in 10 to 30 years versus where we want to go in 10 to 30 years. And for me, again, people being kind of at the core of all of this. What I find really valuable about people in the workplace is connection and experience, right? You can't really recreate a person's experience throughout their life. I mean, you're talking about an AI that's been trained for thousands and thousands of hours, but it will never truly understand how we kind of process data, what we understand about our company, why we're motivated to build the things that we're motivated to build. So from a first principle standpoint, I really wanted to pay close attention to what people would want going for the next 10 to 30 years, what I would want, and where we would most likely end up. There are a lot of AI companies out there that are sort of building to build super intelligence that knows everything about everyone and everything, that can do anything and everything. But I'm not really sure what the incentive would be there for the AI, right? Why would it need to learn everything? Why would it want to know everything about everyone? And where does that ultimately drive us? Versus people, we have kind of clear goals of what we want to do. We're very curious. We like to drive value for others and ourselves. And we like to learn and explore. So for me, it was just really getting really, really deep into the first principles and thinking about what we want ultimately from this, and working together with the AI to drive towards that future. So for the next 10 to 30 years, what the goal is for Triangle AI is decision clarity. Ultimately, what we really focused on is decision clarity, because whether you're taking a personal journey and you want to take on education, or you want to build a business, or you want to drive your business, you're part of a big company and you want to drive that business forward, we have a lot of decisions to make. And as you start to dig into your options, then you get more options coming out of that. So decision clarity becomes really tough. I think that's one of the biggest goals for us long term. And what that looks like as a product is something that's going to develop with the customer's use. How that actually looks, how we interact with it, that's going to change. But ultimately, that's the long-term goal. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. And how can people get connected or support your work in any way? Or how can people work with you or learn more?
Yeah, so easiest way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. Just look for Tree Bell. It's a tree and a bell with one L. I'm also here at the amazing SOMO office. Love the environment here and the people. So just come on by and we can have a great chat here and some coffee and tea.
Thank you. And you actually just reminded me one more question I forgot. SOMO Cowork.
Yeah.
How did you find SOMO Cowork, and how has your experience been? How has it impacted your work that you do?
Yeah, it's been amazing. So I was introduced to SOMO by my advisor. He joined and he said, you have to check this spot out. So I immediately came down, checked it out. And this was a really pivotal moment for me actually joining SOMO, because being, after COVID, being in my home office all the time, it's just hard. If you're focused on a single mission and you're a solo founder, you don't have many teammates to talk to or any teammates to talk to, it can be really tough. So coming into the office and just interacting with everyone in the community has been so amazing. In addition to that, the office space is so incredible and all the environments around us. We actually had the Triangle AI launch here, and it was just amazing. We had people drive down all the way from San Francisco, Marin, to come down here. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that was seeing some of the pictures of how amazing the space is. It was just such an amazing event. And I think it shows how much Sonoma County is kind of growing and becoming such a great hub spot for the next generation of builders too.
Thank you for saying all that. Yeah, and we've loved having you. We're so honored we got to be the space for your launch. So very exciting. And I will link in the show notes all of your ways to reach you or your website platform. All right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I'm excited for people to learn more and use your software.
Awesome. Same here. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the SOMO Cowork Member Spotlight. We hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for future conversations with the incredible members of our community. See you next time.